from Italy in the south, and today I'm going to teach you how to make a quick rise peasant bread. And my teacher and friend Jane Mason taught me how to bake this bread. It's super simple. You don't need yeast, and if you're one of the lucky people who still have flour in their homes, this is a recipe for you while you're stuck inside. You'll never have to buy bread in the store ever again. We have a few ingredients here. We have flour. You could use whatever type of flour you want. You could use a mixture of, if you have wheat and white, if you have spelt and rye, you could use that too. You can also use gluten-free flour because I made this bread with gluten-free flour and it did work. You just have to stir it longer for the liquid to get absorbed. We have some baking soda. We have some salt and some buttermilk. I'm using whole milk buttermilk for my dairy-free friends out there. I don't have an equivalent substitute, so you might have to do research on your own. I can tell you that I did this with almond milk. I tried to curdle it with some vinegar that I had and it did not work. So if you found another way of doing it, please let me know and then in the comments below, and then I would love to share that with some people. Okay, so what you do need is some kind of sifter. So I have a sifter. If you don't have one, that's fine. You can use a fine mesh strainer. If you don't have one, that's okay too. Basically what we want to do is we want to get rid of the clumps in the baking soda. If you've ever used baking soda before, sometimes it gets clumpy. You can use a fork to like whisk it around in a little dish just to make the clumps disappear, because if you have a clump of baking soda in your bread or in a cupcake or in a cake and you bite into it, it's going to taste really bad. So here we go. So I measured out my ingredients before. I have a scale. If you have a scale, that's great. I'll give you the grams and also the cups if you don't have a scale. It's no big deal. Okay, I also preheated my oven to 450 degrees. If you're in Celsius, that would be 230 degrees. So the oven is already heated up. And I'm just going to measure 3 1/4 cups of flour into my sifter. So I put my sifter right in the bowl and just load up the flour. You don't even need a scooper. Just load it right in there. It's kind of coming out the top, but that's okay. And then I'll put my salt in there. And I have my baking soda right on top. Perfect. Okay, then I'm just going to sift it through, just like this. If you don't have one of these handy dandy sifters, I know sometimes there's a shaker. People have used a shaker. But again, if you don't have a sifter or a fine mesh strainer, you can still make this bread. Don't worry about it. I just happen to have one, and I kind of like using it. My salt is coarse, and it's not really going through the grating, so I'm just going to dump it right in there. Okay, now I'm just going to mix it up a little bit. Make sure it's nicely mixed. After you mix up the dry ingredients, you're going to want to add your add-ins in there. So you can use 75 grams of whatever you want, and that would be equivalent to about 1 cup, a little bit less than a cup. And so I've made this bread, oh gosh, maybe 5 different times, and I've used, for the savory ones, I've used fresh parsley and some olives, which was delicious. I used a dried herb mix that I made for dipping oil, but just the dried herbs. I put about a tablespoon in there. For a sweet version, I've used blueberry and lemon zest, which was really, really good, plus a spoonful of sugar. For my gluten-free bread, I used some chocolate chips and a spoonful of sugar in there. So really, it's anything that's in your refrigerator. Peasant bread, you don't have to go and buy fancy stuff. So today I had some broccoli in my refrigerator that I chopped up, and I added a little bit of feta cheese in there. So you could add a cheese bread, you could add chili flakes. Fresh herbs are really, really great. If you have cilantro, and you could put a little bit of salsa and have maybe, you know, a salsa bread for Taco Tuesday or whatever you want. But it could be anything. And if you don't have anything in there, have it plain. You could use jam. You could use cinnamon and raisins. You can add nuts or seeds or whatever combination that you want. It's really up to you. So now I'm going to add my add-ins right over here. Like I said, it's broccoli and feta. I never made this one before, but we'll see how it works. I'm sure it'll be delicious. Okay, now I'm going to pour the buttermilk in the middle. And this is 400 milliliters of buttermilk. I've used whole buttermilk, and this is about 1 3/4 cups of buttermilk. Put it in right here. Okay, this is almost to the fun part. You also want to have a bowl of water at the ready, because as my friend and teacher Jane says, dough sticks to dough but not to water. And I'm going to show you why. And it comes together really, really quickly. And I'm spilling my water all over the place, so I'm just going to move it here for now. This is what it looks like that, so it's a little bit crumbly, but now we're going to shape it into a ball, and this is where our water comes in. You're going to saturate your hands. When I mean saturate, I mean really put them in there, because dough sticks to dough but not to water. And you're going to pick up the dough, all the dough in the bowl, and you're going to just pass it from hand to hand. And if your hands are sticky, put them in the water. The water will look a little bit cloudy after you do this. This hand is sticking a little bit. I'm going to put it here. So I guess you pass it from hand to hand for about, I don't know, 30 seconds to a minute, depending on how it feels. It should feel, gosh, like a big container of, I guess, frosting in your hands. So once you do that and it's not falling all over the place, it looks like a ball that can keep its shape, you put it on your parchment lined baking sheet. I don't have parchment paper, but I do have a silicone mat. And you're going to press down just, I don't know, about a 3-inch disc or so, flat. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take a knife or a dough scraper. It could be metal or plastic. You're going to dip it in the water so it won't stick, and you're going to make an X in the dough ball, the dough disc, not all the way down. Leave about 1 inch that hasn't been cut. I'm going to crisscross it like that. And it will look like this. I don't know if you can see that. Cut the X there. Then I'm going to pop it in my oven at 450 for 20 minutes. Set my handy dandy pineapple timer. 20 minutes. We'll come back in 20. So now you're going to leave the bread in the oven, and you're going to turn down the oven to 400 and then set the timer for 10 minutes. And we're back. The alarm just went off, or the timer just went off. I pulled it out of the oven, and this is what it looks like. You can see the cross or the X, and it smells really good. It smells like broccoli. And so what you're going to do is remove it from the baking sheet, non-stick parchment paper. That one came up a little bit. And we're going to cool it on a baking rack. And it is so yummy. So after that, here, let me give you a close-up perhaps. So this will be good for the first day. Wow, that looks really good, right? Here's the bottom. This is all done. It will taste really amazing on day 1. Day 2, it'll taste really, really good. By day 3, you might want to feed it to the birds, or slice it, put it in a freezer bag and stick it in the freezer so that you could toast it when you want. And it'll last for, I don't know, 2 or 3 months in the freezer if you seal it up really well. In the meantime, that's it. I will put the recipe in the show notes. I'll also put links to virtuousbread.com and also breadangels.com if you want to explore those websites as well. If you like this video, please click on the thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. Ciao for now!